ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। उल्लङ्घ्य सिन्धो सलिलं सलीलं यशोकवह्निं जनकात्मजाया आदाय तेनेव ददाह लङ्कां नमामि प्राञ्जलिराञ्जनेयम्। Okay, I'm assuming you can all hear me clearly. We are in Lanka. We are observing the wonderful Sri Hanumanji, who has burnt down the entire Lanka. I want all of us to close our eyes for a moment and imagine a house on fire, a house under big fire. The tongues of the flames are very, very big. It's not some little tiny fire. The entire house is burning down. If you can imagine that big fire, now take that and apply it to the entire Lanka. There hasn't been a square inch of Lanka that has been preserved except Vibhishana's home, that somehow Hanumanji made sure that he doesn't light. But is there some damage? Possibly. But everything else in Lanka is burning down like anything. And if you can imagine that fire, that the entire city of Lanka is burning, then how it is burning is actually beyond our imagination. The residents of Lanka are running here and there, yelling, crying, shouting, jumping out of buildings. Mothers with their babies, they're nursing their babies and running out of their homes, screaming. The Rakshasas are completely outwitted as to what they can do. There isn't enough water, although Lanka is in the middle of an ocean. There isn't enough water that will do anything to help them. And this Hanumanji is now looking at this entire Lanka. And so in verse 43 of chapter 54, we will do 55 today, but 54, near the end of it, are some excellent verses. We'll just look at them. We won't go through the details of them. Verse number 43 in chapter 54 says, Bhangtva vanam padapa sankulam hatva tu rakshasansi mahanti samyuge dagdva purim tam griharatna malinim tasthau hanuman pavanatmajah kapihi. Hanuman was the son of wind god Pavana Atmaja. Pavana Atmaja because did he not only stoke the flames, but because he's the son of wind god, Vayudev came and encouraged Agni to burn everything. And the more air you offer fire, the stronger it burns. And so Hanuman destroyed Ratna Sankulam Padapa, the Ashoka Vana, which was decorated with jewel-like trees. Why is it jewel-like trees? Because they had all this wonderful greenery. They were verdant, but they also had colorful flowers, white, yellow, orange, red, blue. They all looked like a necklace filled with Navaratnas. So, Ratna Sankulam Padapa, trees that looked like ornaments or like a necklace or ornaments in general. Bhagwan was completely destroyed. Hatva rakshamsi mahanti samyuge. Samyuge means the collection of mahanti, very, very strong demons, Hatva. Dagdva purim tam griharatna malim. And Lanka, the city or the kingdom, Griha Ratna Malim. Here also the houses are compared to a grand garland. So Lanka was garlanded by houses Ratna Malim. That is, each house was not only decorated with jewels, but the cluster of them looked like a beautiful garland around Lanka, and even that was Dagdha, completely burnt down. So in verse 43, we see how Hanumanji destroyed the beauty of Lanka, the most coveted place on the planet or even in the universe, because it would vie with Indra's Amaravati. That beautiful Lanka that Ravana carefully guarded has now become filled with ash and soot. Nothing looks, there isn't any square inch that is nice. And then in verse 45, it seems like a repeat, but we'll see. It says the great Hanuman, Sa Rakshasan Stam Shubahumscha Hatva Vanam cha Bhangtva Bahupadapantat Visrijya Raksho Bhavaneshu Chagnim Jagama Ramam Manasa Mahatma. Hanuman is a Mahatma because after and while doing all of this destruction, at least right after it, Jagama Manasa, with his mind, he went to Sri Ramachandra, or his mind went to Ramachandra. But here this same verse, Sa Rakshasan Stam Bahuchcha Hatva. He killed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Rakshasas with, he killed them. And he destroyed the Ashoka Vana. And he put the entire and he put the entire cluster of homes of the Rakshasas in fire. So one may say, why is this a repeat? The repeat because verse number 45 talks about Hanuman's destroying the strength of Lanka, while verse 43 speaks about Hanuman destroying the beauty of Lanka. And this is verse 44, is one of my favorite verses, just poetically beautiful. Close your eyes and visualize Hanuman, who is our object of worship and our object of meditation, our object of the source of spiritual, physical, mental, emotional strength for us. And Valmiki says, Trikuta Shringagratale Vichitre Pratishto Vanara Rajasimha Pradipta Langula Krita Archamali Vyarajata Aditya Ivamshumali. Um, Vichitre, this very beautiful looking Hanuman, is standing on the peak of Trikuta Shringa Agratale. So, right at the top of Trikuta mountain. His tail is right behind him and is burning. So, there's a big flame. Pratishtha Vanara Raja Simha. There, Hanuman is standing with in a pose of great Veera, like a great hero. Vanara Raja Simha. So he's not just Simha, but Raja Simha, the lion who's the king of the forest. So he's the king among all monkeys because he's such a hero, our hero, Hanumanji. And Pradipta Langula Krita, with his tail that is burning and the effulgence is surrounding Hanuman. Archimali. So it seemed like there was a garland of the effulgence of the flame around him. And he looked like Vyarajata. He was shining. How? Aditya Ivamshumali, like the sun that is garlanded by or surrounded by his sun rays. So Hanuman is shining brightly like the sun. If we ever have distress, there are many verses of Hanuman, especially if there is distress and one can't find any solution, we're struggling with how we can cross over a difficulty. This is a wonderful verse of meditation upon Hanuman, because Veera Hanuman always is eager to come to the rescue and to the support of his devotees, or the devotees of Lord Ramachandra. I mean, he doesn't necessarily think of anyone as his devotees, as the devotees of Lord Ramachandra. And so, when Hanuman is standing like that on Trikuta mountain with his tail on fire, all the residents of the universe came to see this scene. Now, the great demigods themselves came to observe and appreciate Hanuman. And they said, oh, wow, this Hanuman is the son of Vayu, is so strong. He's the prime among all the Vanaras. And look at what he has done. He is so wise, he's so powerful, and very quickly took care of everything. Tatastu vatam vanara virya mukhyam mahabalam marutatulya vegam mahamatim vayu sutam varishtham pratustu Pratushtuvur Deva Ganascha Sarve. Pratushtuvur, all the Devatas and the Devatas, all their associates, all of them were glorifying Hanuman. So it's a glorification. And so they say, look at how Hanuman has destroyed the garden, killed the demons, and burned the city of Lanka. They were amazed at Hanuman's capacity and the service that he had offered to Sri Ramachandra. And the phrase used by Valmiki is Tan, all of the devatas who were in the sky looking, Vismayan, were so taken away by delight and wonder, and Paramam Gataha, Vismayam paramam gataha. They they were just taken away by such delight, like, wow, how is it possible that someone like Hanuman has done something fantastic? They're thrilled. And Hanuman looked like, or this fire that Hanuman set Lanka on, Hanuman himself looked like that fire that arrives at the end of the span of this creation, the fire of dissolution. Kalagnir iti samchintya. Samchintya, they all collectively thought and wondered, is he Kalagni? Sarvabhutani tatrasu, where all the living entities are put under distress. Devascha sarve munipangavascha gandharva vidyadhara vidyadhara विद्याधर विद्याधरान अगायकाक्षाः. Oh, sorry, Gandharva, Vidyadhara, Naga, Yakshaha. So Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Nagas, Yakshas, Bhutani, Sarvani, Mahanti Tatra. Sarva Bhutani Mahanti. All the great beings of the universe. That means the demigods residing and all the other persons in Bhuvarloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Swargaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, they all came there. All the rishis, the Sapta rishis, everyone came there. And when they saw what Hanuman had done, Jagmoho, Param, Pratima, Atulya Rupam, Mahanti, Jagmoh, Param, Pritim, Atulya Rupam. They got so much pleasure, Atulya Rupam, that a form of pleasure that they had never experienced. That is the great act of Sri Hanumanji. Now, Hanumanji himself has a completely different emotion right after this point. Everybody is glorifying. Oh, what has he done? Fantastic service that he has offered. He has destroyed Ravana's Lanka. In fact, it is said that when Sita arrived into Lanka, Ravana's destruction had already begun. Everything was done. Just like wood, when it burns, before it burns, the ability of the wood or the readiness of the wood depends upon how dry it is. If it is very dry, it will catch on fire quickly. And then before we know, it turns into ash. So Sita Devi's arrival into Lanka dried up the entire opulence of Ravana as if a wood has become dry and is ready for fire. That is what Sita Devi's presence did for Ravana and his Lanka. It became completely ready to burn down. All it took Hanumanji was a little flame, and the whole thing came down. And after Ravana's entire armies, his granary, I mean, all his grains, his treasury, everything is burnt down. And now Ramachandra has to come and shoot an arrow and finish him off. So the Sri Vaishnavas say that Ramachandra is Nimitta Matra. He's just an instrument in the grand plan that he and Sita Devi have created, where Sita Devi says, Agrata te Gamishyami. I will go ahead of you, Mridnanti Kushakantaka, and I will crush all the sharp grass and thorns. So Ramachandra is Nimitta only as a glorification of Sita Devi. However, in chapter 55, when it begins, it says the powerful Hanuman, as he's looking at Lanka, Lankan samastam sandipya langulin mahabalaha Nirvapayamasa tada samudre harisattamaha. Now Hanuman went to the ocean and dipped his tail in the waters of the ocean. After burning the entire Lanka, Sandipya Samastan Lankam, Langulagni, the fire that is at the tip of his tail, Nirvapayamasa, he extinguished that fire. How? Samudre, in the ocean. Harisattamaha, the best of the monkeys. So this entire burning has now calmed down. Sandipyamanam vidhavastvan trastra tastatra agronan purim aveksha Hanuman lankan chintayamasa vanaraha. Oh, sorry. Sandipyamanam vidhvastan trasta rakshasho ganan purim. When he is watching the entire city of Lanka now burning like anything, finished off, aveksha Hanuman Lanka chintayamasa. Suddenly he became thoughtful. Actually, chintayamasa, we may say he became a little worried. So from here on, we're going to hear from the mouth of Hanuman what anger does to a person and the effects of anger and how one should recognize it before rather than after. In this case, Hanuman is having a regret in his heart. As long as the tail was in fire, because the nature of fire is such that it is burning, it is constantly consuming anything and everything that's in its vicinity and within it. So anger is such a fire that burns in such a way that a person becomes completely unaware of their actions, their words, and what consequences it has to them, to the people it's directed at, to the surrounding circumstances and everything. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsam. It may seem to have begun in a very innocent way. Dhyayato Vishayan. One is contemplating on the objects of the senses. Sangasteshu upajayate. There is an attachment. Upajayate. It upajayate, it is born very slowly or small way. See, in this verse, the word jayate is there, but the prefixes for jayate keep changing. Sangaha teshu upajayate. Sangat samjayate kamaha. Samjayate, almost that the kamaha is in such a way that it comes in a very strong way. Samjayate. Kamat krodha abhijayate. Krodha abhijayate is that it almost is born, the anger is born along with the lust. Kama krodha, they're like together. Although krodha is an outcome of kama, it here abhijayate means you can't tell how soon that anger comes right after the desire. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. And this anger is such that it completely deludes the person. And the delusion is seen as smriti vibhrama. Smriti vibhrama, what is the memory that is gone here? One forgets anything and everything. One forgets who one is. One forgets the circumstance they're in. This forgetfulness means is deluded, becomes unaware. The smriti is this of becoming unaware. They're unaware of who they're talking to. They're unaware of what they are speaking. They're unaware how they are acting. They're unaware of who's around. They're unaware of the circumstances around them. Smriti Bhamshat Buddhinasha. Buddhi is the brake pedal for the mind. Buddhinasha means it's a car or a wreck, train wreck waiting to happen where the brakes have failed, because Buddhi will say, shut up, don't say it. My spiritual master once told me, as part of a context, that when in doubt, shut up. That when in doubt, doubt is a symptom of intelligence. If you think, should I say or not say, better not to say. So intelligence, buddhi, is a brake pedal. And when the brake fails, a train wreck is waiting to happen. Buddhinasha pranashyati. Prabhupada translates as one falls down into the material pool. Material pool is when one starts considering only materialistically. That is, I am the most important being here. How dare anybody make me angry? Nashyati also means destroyed. Pranashyati, one completely destroys, or one completely destroys oneself and any of the relationship, any of the opportunities, any of the semblance of goodness, all destroyed. And that is what Hanuman is experiencing right now. Tasya abhut su mahan trasaha kutsa cha atmani ajayata. On his own, because the tail has now calmed down, he has awakened in himself a sense of reproach, self-reproach. Oh, what a horrible deed have I done. Lankan pradahata karma kims vitrakramidam maya kimsvit. What kind of a horrendous act have I done by burning this Lanka? So there's now regret. A very, very important aspect is, as soon as the anger passes away, a person will fall into regret. Because now, after the fire has been calmed down, when a person sees the damage they have done to themselves and to others, it has to bring regret, especially if he's a thoughtful person. And if they're not a thoughtful person, their actions, they absolutely cannot see any consequences. Ravana is not seeing, although he's being told, hey, see the consequences. What consequences? I will get what I want. Hanuman, because he is a great person, he's seeing, oh my gosh, what a terrible, terrible disaster I have unleashed. And then Hanuman, he doesn't think of himself. Excellent hidden messages or instructions is, Hanuman thinks of great people. Whenever we are in distress or we have committed some act and we want to center ourselves, ground ourselves, then it's not possible on one's own. One has to think of great people. So Hanuman says, Dhanyaste Purusha Shresthaha Ye Buddhyaha Kopam Utthitam. Great are those persons who can use their intelligence to curb their anger. Nirundhanti Mahatmano Deeptam Agnim Ivambhasa. They use their own wisdom to curb their anger, just the way one pours water to extinguish fire. Deepta Agnim Iva Ambhasaha Nirundhanti. One who extinguishes fire by pouring water on something that's burning. There was a conversation with my spiritual master about some years ago. Some context, I was upset with somebody, and my anger was that they hadn't treated my Guru Maharaj with respect. And so I was very angry, and he was on the phone, and I was saying some very strong things about them to my spiritual master. And he heard me and he said, I'm going to finish this call. Put a cold towel on your head, which means just cool down. Like Deepta Agnim Ivambhasa Nirundhanti. And because he's Mahatmana, he was able to say, hey, you need to cool down. And Hanuman says, Kruddha papam no kuryat kaha kruddho hanyad gurunapi kruddha parushaya vacha nara sadhuna adikshipet. He says Kruddha actually means one who is an angry person. Kruddha papam na kuryat kaha. Who is there who is an angry person who can stop himself or herself from committing any sinful act? Kruddho hanyat guruna api. Anger is such that a person, because there's no brake pedal, can even commit violence. Hanyat guru can commit violence towards one's guru. And that guru is not just Diksha Guru. Guru here means one who is senior, elder, wise, more wise, and the position of parents. People say all sorts of nasty things to their parents. People say all sorts of nasty things to people who are more advanced in age or intelligence or learning, or, of course, spiritually very up there. Kruddha parushaya vacha. And the tongue is such that an angry person's tongue is like a burning flame, and it can issue such strong, harsh words. Nara sadhuna adhikshipet, that can insult other human beings, sadhus, etc. So Rupa Goswami immediately, the very beginning, he says, Vacho Vegam, Manaso Krodha Vegam, Jihva Udara Upastha Vegam, Yo Vishayeta Dhiraha, Dhira, sober. Sober is the intelligence, is that which says, or Vishaheta, one who tolerates, one who Saheta. Saheta means tolerates. Vishaheta curbs it. Who doesn't let that arrow or bullet of anger, that vega, the force with which it is coming, to curb that force. Because an angry person can do anything. Vacha vyacham prakupito na vijaniti karhichit na karyam asti kruddhasya na vachan vidyate kvachit. An angry person does not know what to speak, what not to speak. Vacha avacham prakupito na vijanati karhichit. Absolutely has no filter, cannot understand what is to be spoken, cannot absolutely ascertain what is not to be spoken. Na nakarayam asti kruddhasya na vachan vidyate kvachit. There is nothing that they cannot do, and there is nothing that they cannot speak, which means they feel that they can say and do anything they like. That is the nature of anger. Mean that they lose any semblance of etiquette, any semblance of circumstance, any semblance of, is this the right place, time to even say anything? Oh, I felt it, said it. So this kind of anger Hanuman says, Nirasyati Kshamayeva. One should have Kshama, or a sense of tolerance. Krodhan ya Sam utpatitan. Any anger that is arising, immediately tolerance is away. So it should be a way that a person should be able to digest that anger at that point. Now, digest doesn't mean ignore it or just artificially curb it. Anger arising is not a bad nature. We're a human being. We're human beings. Anger is an emotion that is there in us. However, to learn how to channel it, how to dissipate it, and how to direct it is possible when this kshamaiva, this tolerance and intelligence work together. Kshama allows for it to be channelized, directed, and dissipated. And intelligence tells you how to make it happen. And so Hanuman, after thinking of great persons, how they're able to control their anger and how he has miserably failed, he says, Dighastu, Dhikkara. Horrible. How wicked of me. Sudurbuddhim nirlajam papa krittamam. Hanuman is chastising himself. Dhig astumam. Oh, shameless of me. Sudur buddhim. Buddhi is intelligence, or buddhim is intelligent. Dur buddhi is bad intelligence or evil intelligence. And su means beautiful. So beautifully bad means uh, extremely bad, horrendous intelligence. So buddhi, my intelligence is so degraded. Nirlajjam. I have absolutely no shame. Papa Kirtamam, and I'm the best of the sinful persons. Achintayitva tam Sita, Sitam Agnidam Swaham Ghatukam. I have completely not considered what will happen to Sita Devi. She's also in Lanka. This is the nature of anger, that even our own people that we have love for get burnt in it. Even when the anger is not directed at them, but they burn it too. And then he says, yeah, oh, if Sita Devi has gotten burnt in, because when we're standing at Trikuta and seeing the entire Lanka burning, so I asked us to imagine a fire that we can imagine, and this fire is bigger than what we can imagine. Obviously, Sita Devi is burnt. And he says, if Sita Devi is burnt and she's such a noble lady, the entire work that I have done, the service that I have performed, has completely become spoiled and useless. Noonam, so what is the point of offering such service? I jumped over the ocean. I did this reconnaissance mission. I talked to Sita Devi. I gave her Rama Nama Ankitam Anguliyakam. She gave me her Chudamani, and she told me the greatest of secrets that is so private between the two of them. I destroyed so many Rakshasas. I got to meet Ravana and gave him a threat. I gave him a warning. And then, in an anger, because they put my tail on fire, I burnt the entire Lanka and destroyed this whole service that I'm supposed to do. Sita is part or is in this fire, and my entire mission has become spoiled. The power of my anger is such that it has uprooted my entire service from its root. Moolakshayah kritah. Maya moolakshaya kritah. I have offered a wonderful service like a tree that is stable, and by my own act, I've uprooted that tree. That's how this fire is. Everything that I worked for, everything that I have built has been destroyed. Vinashta Janaki Noonam. Surely Janaki is Vinashta, is also been destroyed or perished in this fire. Lankayam Kaschit Dudesha Sarva Bhasmi Kritapuri. I have I've burnt down the entire Lanka. I've not left even little piece of land or space that has not been burnt. The entire Lanka has been reduced to ashes. Now, it doesn't say about Vibhishana, but we assume that even Vibhishana's house has gotten on fire because the nature of such act is such, although he didn't light it personally, it must have burnt his house. This is uh, my sense of it. And therefore, Hanuman says, if all of this has been destroyed, the only purpose for me is to give up my life. I mean, there's no use being alive for anything at this point. Now, what's the best way to give up my life? Shall I end my life by jumping into this fire? Or should I just jump into the ocean and let all the aquatics take away or eat away my body? Because yeah, how can I go back to the monkeys and tell them what I have done? They're going to ask me, we've been waiting at the shore. Have you seen Sita? And I will say, yeah. And then I burnt Lanka. And you know what? Burnt her also. How am I going to stand in front of Rama and Lakshmana? What will I say to them? On account of my anger, because I yielded to anger, that I have done something that has destroyed the very purpose you sent. And what have I done? Pratitam trishu lokeshu kapitvam manavas manavasthitam. I have demonstrated my monkey nature. Monkey is very chapala, restless. And the restlessness, because in services of this nature, the restlessness is a liability. And after having Sri Ramachandra's and Lakshmana's association, after being called to service, having Rama Nama Anguliyakam, shouting loudly, Dasoham Kosalendrasya Ramasya Aklishta Karmana. I've so loudly told everyone I'm the servant of Ramachandra, but my monkey nature overtook all of that. Important lesson. When one takes up bhakti, the externalities may change, but if the internal, the core nature doesn't transform into a Vaishnav nature, then the transformation hasn't happened. So externally, one may wear kurta, dhoti, or sari, put on tilak, nice, beautiful bead bag from Loi Bazaar that has all the nice embroidery on it, big, massive beads and mridanga beads and this thing, and having Radharani's name round the neck and fancy beads and books and oh. But when one is poked, when that ahankara is poked a little bit, one's nature that they haven't done anything about, that antakarana that is still not transformed, comes up. in a very ugly way. And he says, Kapitvam, I have shown my monkey nature. And everybody in the world knows how monkeys are. Trishu lokeshu. Every no. Monkey means restless. That's why people wondered, how did Ramachandra accept monkeys as his warriors, his troops? And I've demonstrated that. Dighastu. Dighastu. Completely. Shame on me. Rajasam. I have become a victim of mode of passion. So I did not save Sita Devi, even though everything was under my control. Everything was going well, but my anger was such that it destroyed everything that I did. And as soon as Ram and Lakshmana will hear this, they will give up their lives. And when they give up their lives, Sugriva, who's made this pact of friendship, he and Ramachandra are such fond friends that Sugriva and all of his relatives, the Vanaras, will also give up their lives. When the news that Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Sugriva, all the Vanaras have given up their lives, that news, when it reaches Ayodhya and Bharata Shatrughna, when they hear that Bharata is holding on to his life by a very thin thread, what will Bharata do? He will also perish. When Bharata and Shatrughna will perish, the entire Ikshvaku race will get destroyed because there is no progeny. So I have failed in dharma and artha. I am the destroyer of the entire world because I was overtaken by my anger. How unfortunate am I? Bhagya rahita. I am so unfortunate. Unfortunate that I have allowed my anger to take the better of me. Iti chintayastasya nimittan upapedire. पूर्वम अपि पूर्वम अपि उपलब्धानि साक्षात पुनर अचिंतयत. So while Hanuman is in this condition, because he's thinking of the great persons, because his entire mind is absorbed in Sri Rama and Lakshmana, and there is this sense of regret, all the right formula, the ingredients, that he gets signs that things are not bad. Purvam api upalabdhani, he got nimittani. He's got these indicators that he had previously gotten. The previous gotten was cool breeze, moon in the sky. Of course, there's no moon right now, but moon in the sky, a sense of indicators in his body that things are not so badly destroyed. So he started reflecting again. Now, this is the way a person gets transformed, that when they are worrying about or seeing by the nature of regret, it brings a transformation in the person. Regret is a very, very powerful uh, tool, if you will. So one should regret one's actions. Then it brings signs of auspiciousness. Now, I'm going to leave all of us with a question. I don't want you to rush into answering it. I want you to think about it. And on Tuesday of next week, you can text in the WhatsApp group. Don't send me personal. I get individual texts. It's hard to respond to everyone. But in the WhatsApp group, you please text back your realization or your understanding of why Sita Devi did not burn in that fire. I want to hear what your contemplation is. And so Hanuman is now thinking, oh, Punar Sakshat Punar Achintayat. So he's now thinking the other side. And I will, I mean, of course, you can always read ahead and get to know, but I also want to know, this is Hanuman's reasons. What is a philosophical shloka from Bhagavad Gita or someplace you can tell or share as to why Sita Devi did not burn? Okay. Well, I'm going to pause there for today. So I have completed up to verse 21 of chapter 55. Let's see. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna. Radha.
Um, I think I have two questions. One is that was it such a shock for Ravan and all the other Rakshasas couldn't do anything while the Lanka was being burnt?
Yeah. It says that nobody could do anything. The fire was so big. I'm sure they were trying different things, but at least the way Valmiki describes it, no, what is that forest fire called? Davagni. When a person is in Davagni, the only thing that can rescue is torrential rain. Karunya ghana ghanatvam. That's the only way. Otherwise, all efforts that any person can make is very, very tiny and ineffective.
Yeah, I was glad you mentioned that. I was thinking of that and thinking that all the demigods are within Ram's rule. Why didn't he just invoke the Varun Dev to just come and just pour torrential
Right now,
rain?
they're all following Hanuman. They've all become energized because Hanuman. You see, whenever there are scared persons and there is one strong person, all the scared persons will right line up behind the strong person. If there's someone who faces off to a bully, then those who are being bullied will stand right behind. So previously, when Agni and Vayu nicely said, well, let's burn Lanka because Hanuman has taken that step. The Acharyas explained that the demigods all lined up. Previously, they were so scared of Ravana. Now they're like, ah, Hanuman's there. We will also line up with him.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, I remember that now. The other thing is, sorry, you were mentioning about when one gets angry and they may say and do a lot of things, and then once it subsides, the regret comes. I was thinking of like just personally, sometimes along with regret at the same time, because that anger is still there, and the mind will throw different excuses,
Yeah.
why we were angry and why we did this and why we did that. And it's just very difficult, like it's very contradictory between really regretting as well as all those things that mind is throwing at you, what to do.
The fire may have extinguished, but the heat remains, no?
Yeah.
It's like a
And
pan
that
on
burns for some time.
a pan on the gas stove. You may turn off the gas stove, but the pan is still hot. So the water that's required to drench the pan in water so that it cools down enough, that's what that power of, he says, intelligence should be like this water that extinguishes not only the fire, but the heat of it. And the way Hanuman is going through is not just some external tool. He's thinking about the great persons, the great acharyas. They're the great persons in this universe. Ramachandra, although previously he says, Jagama Mansa Ramam. In that act, his mind has gone to Ramachandra. But now he's considering because, whoa, what is the consequence of what I've done? Actually, there is no other way to do it. This was
ಹಸಿಕಸುದ
fantastic, but what
ಹಿಂಗರುತ್ತೆ.
Hanuman did. But as a teacher, he is showing the ill effects of such anger. Yudhishthir Maharaj, who's such a thoughtful person, after the entire war, also had that regret. Just for me to be a king, so many people had to die. And he was in such a bad condition that he needed Bhishma Deva to bring him into a proper state. Similarly here. So when Hanuman's thoughts went to all these great persons, the acharyas, great persons in the universe, Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Sugriva, the collective, then that cooling effect, not only the fire went, the heat also. So now he's gotten proper signs that while Lanka may have burned, it's possible that Sita Devi has not been.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Um, Actually, it was very nice to hear. I didn't know that Hanuman felt like this. It's my first time hearing this, and but I immediately remembered Prabhupada giving an example in Bhagavad Gita. One of the purports that anger should be used in service of Lord, and he gave the example of Hanuman.
Yes.
So I was just remembering that when you were narrating, I felt like I wanted to tell Hanuman, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I felt like so sad to hear him feeling like that. But yeah, except for like he was worried about Mother Sita, so that made me feel like yeah, he might be feeling worried about Mother Sita. But
Fire is fire. Okay. Fire is very objective. It doesn't say this is my friend, that is not my friend. Fire has
yeah,
such objectivity that it burns anything and anybody. Now, Hanuman is saying that although fire is used in service, which is true, but there are so many unintended consequences. You can't say, oh, I'll direct my anger or fire in this way, but nothing will happen to that person or this situation. The nature of fire is such that you have no control of what consequences it will bring. That's the lesson.
yeah. Okay, Prabhuji. I think that you very beautifully explain about how dangerous it is to have anger and how we behave. Um, but I also had this question in my mind. It's something similar to Mataji that asked the question. Sometimes I feel like, okay, my anger it has a valid reason, um, or I feel like if somebody is on the other side is behaving like they're very rude or something, and we are on the other side of so in that case I feel like it is a valid to
Yes.
have. So in that case, but I like the point that you said we should not react immediately. Uh, but when it comes over practice, how do I come out of that feeling of it's okay for me to get angry if some other person is behaving like this? Or another question is, you when somebody talks about someone I respect, or especially who I like especially Guru Maharaj or somebody I in my life, I don't have that ability to uh, answer or talk in written. And how do I respond in those situations too? So I need help with this too.
Experiencing anger and expressing anger are two different things, but generally they are seen as the same. This is something I've been thinking about because sometimes I say things, it comes out without my ability to hold it back. So I've been thinking about it. This chapter actually helped me, not that I've transformed, but it has helped me to know that I need to put some brakes to the way I say certain things. But experiencing anger is the recognition that, hey, there is anger. And to say this makes me angry is different from because I am burning, I'm going to burn someone else as well. That's exactly what Hanuman is showing. His tail was on fire, therefore he put Lanka into fire. Oh, Ravana, you'll burn my tail, I'll burn your entire city. That has such unintended consequences. Nothing that what Hanuman did is wrong or anything. It's fantastic. It's excellent service. But a thoughtful person will consider, my tail was on fire, I put his entire house on fire. Look what it has done. Experiencing anger is very natural. Nothing wrong with it. Expressing it is what is required. Therefore, I said, Kshama, Hanuman has told us, through Valmiki, that through Kshama and Buddhi, one can dissipate, direct, and dissipate, divert, and express it. And when the Supreme Lord or the Vaishnavas or someone we respect is being blasphemed or whatever, and we don't like it, it brings anger in us. It should bring anger in us. But that anger is not directed in a way that we punch them or something. The best way to express is you don't participate in that conversation. If you have the ability uh, to say something to correct it, great. If you don't, get up and leave the place. Say, and you can even say, I'm sorry, such and such person is very dear to me. It's hard for me. This conversation is hard for me. And you leave. Or that's not my experience. I'm sorry. I don't think so. Here are some ways in which this person has treated me and others, and I've seen this. Or you leave the place. However, at that point, it helps you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Prabhu.
All right. We're over time. Let's see if there's something in the chat. Oh, wow. Class ended at verse 24. Uh, how the fire, uh, how the fire did not burn the tail of Lord Hanuman. Can you please kindly explain? If you go back to a couple of classes, we discussed how a lamp that is full or dipped in ghee or oil and you light it, then the whole the whole wick doesn't burn, only the tip keeps burning, and slowly it will consume that wick. But Hanuman's tail was, because his size became so big, the tail was so long that the tip was only burning because there was cloth and oil surrounding it. And as far as previous chapter, although I read up to verse 24, I think I explained further about the nature of the fire and what was happening in Lanka. So in my mind, I'd covered even further just the narration of it, not by verse. So I think we're on track as far as my estimation is concerned. Otherwise, please read the chapter up to where we started today. But thank you very much for your time. Shri Shri Sitarama Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you to our wonderful hero Shri Hanuman, who Buddhimatam Varishtham. Although among all intelligence beings, he's the foremost. He didn't do anything wrong, but such a wonderful example setting that as soon as he extinguished the fire on his tail, he's showing us what the unintended consequences of anger, even if done or even if expressed with good intentions in a service mood, still may have some really bad consequences. And one should be very, very careful in how one expresses that anger. Ideally, one should learn to curb it, divert it, and diffuse it by using intelligence and kshama. Now one may say, I neither have the intelligence nor the kshama. And therefore Hanuman also showed us that we meditate on great persons